Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napai Beara Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Balokana Koro Ami Boro Dukhi Koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Bhatta Juga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanatha Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamange Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Radha Govardhana Bhagwan Ki, Krishna Balaram Bhagwan Ki, Giriraj Maharaj Bhagwan Ki, Nrsingadev Bhagwan Ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai Bhagwan Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gaur Premanandi. So today we are reading from the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 2, verses 36 to 39. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, reciting verse 36 from the Madhya Lila, chapter 2. Yada yato daivan madhuripura solochana patham tadasmakam cheto madana haten hatakena artham abhud. Punaryasmin esha shanam apidrishor eti padavim. Vidha shamastasmin akhila ghatika ratna khachitaha. Yada yato daivan madhuripur asholochana patham tadasmakam cheto madana hatakena ahartam abhud. Punaryasmin eshashanam apidrishor eti padavim. Vidhashyamastasmin akhila ghatika ratna khachitaha. Tatasmakam cheto madana hatena hartam abhud. Punar yasmin eshashanam apidrishor eti padavim. Vidashamastasmin akila katika ratna kachatiha. Yada yato daivan madhuripur asolochana patham. Tadasmakam cheto madana hatem pinahatam abhut. Punar yasmin eshakshanam apidrishor eti padavim. Vidashamastasmin akila gatika na gachatiha. Yada yato daivan madhuripur asolochana patham. Hatam pinahatam abhut. Drishor eti padavim. Yada yato daivan madhuripura solochana patham. Tadasmakam cheto madana hatakena hatam abhut. Punar yasmin eshashanam drishor eti padavim. Vidhashamas tasmin akila kachitaratna kachitaha. Yada, when Yataha entered upon Daivat by chance, Madhuripuhu, the enemy of the demon Madhu, Asau, he, Lochanapatham, the path of the eyes, Tada, at that time, Asmakam, our, Chetaha, consciousness, Madanahatakena, by wretched Cupid, Ahirtam, stolen, Abhud, has become, Punaha, again, Yashmin, when, Eshaha, Krishna, Shanamapi, even for a moment, Drisho, of the two eyes, Eti, goes to, Padavim, the path, Vidhashamaha, we shall make, Tasmin, at that time, Akila, all, Ghatikaha, indications of time, Ratna Kachitaha, bedecked with jewels. Translation, please repeat the translation after me too. If by chance the transcendental form of Krishna comes before my path of vision, my heart, injured from being beaten, will be stolen away by Cupid, happiness personified. Because I could not see the beautiful form of Krishna to my heart's content, when I again see his form, I shall decorate the phases of time with many jewels. Purport. This verse is spoken by Srimati Radharani in the Jagannath Vallabha Nataka 3:11 of Ramananda Raya. So, before I get into the other verses up until 39, I just wanted to give a little introduction as to this verse in particular, and the following verses are all in the same mood. So I'll be covering up till 39 today. So, what's happening up until now is that Lord Caitanya is in Jagannath Puri, and he, as we know, is Krishna in the mood and color of Radharani. So internally, he is Radharani, fully. And so the combined form of Radha and Krishna, that's who Lord Caitanya is. So he is, as Radharani's mood, feeling great, deep separation from Krishna. And in this particular part of the Caitanya Caritamrita, it's actually really special because it's one of the only places really that Radharani's mood is something we can, is described in so much detail, and we can try to appreciate that mood and try to understand it. So, so Lord Caitanya is feeling so much separation from Radharani, from Krishna, and this is what she is saying. In these deep emotive states of separation, there is all sorts of ecstatic symptoms that Lord Caitanya manifests, and his two closest associates, who will be mentioned later, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, they very much assist him in this mood and in his ecstasies. So this particular verse that we just recited today is actually from this play called the Jagannath Vallabha Nataka. And we know that Lord Caitanya is in Jagannath Puri right now, in this particular point in time. And he goes and he takes darshan of Lord Jagannath every day. And as he is taking darshan, he is feeling great separation from Krishna because he is Radharani. And it's described that Lord Jagannath is Krishna, and he is feeling great separation from Radharani. So that's why when we pull Lord Jagannath in the chariot, we are pulling him back to Vrindavan, back into the hearts of the gopis. And so there's an eye-to-eye union of Lord Jagannath, who is Krishna, and Lord Caitanya, who is Radharani, in the mood of Radharani. So in this separation, there is actually connection and union just through darshan, eye-to-eye connection, it's described. So here, in this verse, we see that that from the Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, which is written by Ramananda Rai, and Ramananda Rai, as I mentioned, he's one of the closest associates of Lord Caitanya, who assisted him in Jagannath Puri. So he actually wrote, he was a playwright, he was a poet, and he wrote this play. And from this is what Radharani is saying. And what she is saying is really deep. She's saying that if I am fortunate enough to see Krishna again in this life, my heart is already so damaged. And my heart, even if I see Krishna again, my heart is going to be stolen by happiness. Cupid. Cupid is happiness personified, is being described. My heart will be stolen by Cupid and happiness. And in the past, whenever I have seen the form of Krishna, my mind has been stolen by pleasure and stolen by happiness. So I haven't really been in the moment. I haven't really been able to appreciate this form of Krishna. This is Radharani's lamentation. So because I could not see the beautiful form of Krishna to my heart's content, when I again see this form, I shall decorate the phases of time with many jewels. So what she's saying is regret. There's a lot of regret that I have not fully seen Krishna to the satisfaction of my heart. Whenever I've been in Krishna's direct presence, my mind and my heart has been stolen by pleasure and happiness, by being in his presence. And so I haven't really fully absorbed Krishna through my eyes and appreciated it. So if I'm lucky enough to see Krishna again, those bits of time that I am seeing Krishna, I'm going to really, really treasure. I'm going to treasure so much that I'm going to decorate those phases of time with jewels. So it's like that much. So here we see the importance of time. Time spent with a spiritual personality, time spent with the Supreme Lord. That this is how much we need to be appreciating this time. That we must feel this is so precious. We hear the saying, time is so precious. And time spent with my spiritual master, or time spent with Srila Prabhupada, time spent in the temple, is like, it's made my life, or it's given me everything, given me the foundation. It's so precious this time. So this is how much preciousness is being attached to this time that, and she actually describes it a little bit more in the following verses. That, so in this verse she's saying that I'm going to decorate this ghata, so ghati, ghati kaha, these bits of time, I'm going to decorate with jewels. So that's how much I'm going to treasure this time with Krishna. Okay, so one point to note, and I'll talk about this later as well, is this verse spoken by Radharani is written by Ramananda Raya, and Ramananda Raya, as I said, is one of Lord Chaitanya's closest associates. And he, in his Siddha Rupa, his eternal form, is Vishakha Sakhi. So as Vishakha Sakhi, we know she's one of the main gopis. So she knows the mood of Radharani very well. And this is how she's writing it. This was one of Ramananda Raya's services. So the next verse is verse 37. So you don't have to repeat this verse after me. Ye kale vaswapane dekhinu vamsi vadane saikale aila duivairi ananda aramadana hari nila moramana dekhite na painu netra bhari. Whenever I had the chance to see Lord Krishna's face and his flute, so this is Radharani speaking, whenever I had the chance to see Lord Krishna's face and his flute, even in a dream, two enemies would appear before me. They were pleasure and Cupid. And since they took away my mind, I was not able to see the face of Krishna to the full satisfaction of my eyes. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is what Radharani is criticizing, that my mind and my heart were taken away by pleasure and by happiness personified, who is Cupid. And because these are the two enemies, I wasn't able to relish and be in the moment and just see Krishna's face to full. So somewhere in the scriptures it's mentioned that when we are in the presence of a great spiritual personality, we often do not appreciate it or realize it at that point in time, because our senses are not that spiritually awake, or we kind of are envious and we diminish their qualities, that we, don't, most of the time, we don't tend to appreciate it. And when we do, it's actually electrifying. It's like, it's being stunned and like just looking at the personality and all the senses are wide open and you're really trying to just absorb everything. So, if it happens, it's really, really wonderful that we are in the moment at that point in time and appreciating it fully. That's when ecstatic symptoms can come. Like drying of the tongue and the hair standing on end and just being stunned, so that externally whatever is happening you don't really realize what's going on. So that's when you're really absorbed in the moment. But it's rare, so most of the time we tend to diminish or envy or not appreciate a spiritual personality who's in front of us. Like when Krishna was present on earth 5,000 years ago, it's said that only a few people knew that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. About 5 people were able to realize that he was Krishna himself. So, and also because of what Radharani is saying here, that, my mind was gone in pleasure and happiness, so I couldn't really appreciate and absorb Krishna fully with my eyes. So that's also another thing for us. And it's a big lesson for us, that oftentimes, well, most of the time, we are concerned about satisfying our desires and having pleasure ourselves, satisfying our senses, and we tend to forget about satisfying Krishna's senses. So that's the biggest lesson the gopis have taught us, and Radharani has taught us, that love is satisfying the senses of Krishna without any desire for your own satisfaction. And lust is when you want to just satisfy your senses and you're not bothered about satisfying Krishna's senses, or you forget about his senses. So here she is actually being very humble in saying that my mind was gone with pleasure and happiness. In fact, we know that Radharani is saying in the Shikshashtakam that you can crush me with your embrace, you can treat me however you like, I'll still always love you, always be yours, life after life. That's what Radharani is saying. And so we know her love is pure love. So she's being very humble when she's saying that my mind was gone. In fact, the gopis say, twice at least, they have said that, why has Brahma created these eyelids? They just get in the way, they obscure our vision of Krishna. We just want to see him all the time without blinking. Because when we blink, we lose sight of him for a minute, for a second. So this again is the same mood that Radharani is saying. I haven't been able to see Krishna to the full satisfaction of my eyes. So verse 38. Punaha yadi konashana kayaya Krishna darshana tabe se ghati shana pala diya malya chandana nana ratna abharana alankrita karimu sakala. If by chance such a moment comes when I can again see Krishna, then I shall worship those seconds, moments and hours with flower garlands and pulp of sandalwood and decorate them with all kinds of jewels and ornaments. So Radharani is describing very, very beautifully. And let's try to be in the moment with her. Now this is a really sort of, it's Madhurya rasa. It's the conjugal rasa that we are talking about. This is how a lover feels when they are missing their lover. So it's something that this separation that Lord Chaitanya is feeling, that Radharani is feeling from Krishna, is the highest form of Vipralamba Bhava, is the highest form of ecstatic emotions, of loving emotions. So it's really pretty high, this rasa that we are talking about today. So let's try to be with Radharani and try to understand her mood, try to absorb her mood, and so that we can also try to develop that mood of loving Krishna. So again she's saying that if by some fortunate chance a moment comes again when I can see Krishna, then I'll worship that time. I'll worship those seconds. I'll worship those moments. I'll worship those hours. And how I'm going to worship this precious time is I'm going to decorate this time with flower garlands and pulp of sandalwood and decorate them with all kinds of jewels and ornaments. So this is how much she is missing Krishna, how much she is craving even a little bit of time in Krishna's presence, and how precious she is deeming that time, that she wants to just worship that time and decorate that time with all this. So it's very, very poetic. She wants to decorate it with garlands and pulp of sandalwood, all these beautiful, nice, pure things. So again, we get the lesson that when we have this time, we need to relish it, we need to appreciate it, not take it for granted. Very often we fall into the trap, it is a trap of illusion, that it's always going to be like this. This situation will just be like this, for a long time. And I'll have time to come back to it later. But time is short, life is short, and moments may not come back. So we are being given that lesson that rather than regret, try to use our time very wisely, because it actually doesn't stand still. Time and tide wait for no man. So yeah, this is how preciously we must appreciate spiritual time. So verse 39. Shane bhaya haila mana आगे देखे दुई जना तान रे पूछे अमीना चैतन्य स्वप्ना प्रया की देखिनु किबा अमी प्रलापिनु तोमारा किछु सुनियचा दैन्या. So this verse 39 is now Lord Chaitanya, who has been very, very deeply immersed in the mood of Radharani in the last 3 verses. Now Lord Chaitanya has come to external consciousness again. In an instant, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained external consciousness and saw 2 persons before him. Questioning them, he asked, "Am I conscious? What dreams have I been seeing? What craziness have I spoken? Have you heard some expressions of humility?" When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus spoke in ecstasy, he saw 2 persons before him. One was his secretary, Swarupa Damodar, and the other was Raya Ramananda. Coming to external consciousness, he saw them both present, and although he was still talking in the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, he immediately began to question whether he was the same Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one thing we should understand is that one of the main reasons Lord Chaitanya appeared was he wanted to experience how Radharani sees him, how Radharani loves him, what Radharani feels. So this was one of the main reasons for one of his internal reasons for his appearance. So this is why we are going through the mood of Radharani. Said Lord Chaitanya he has achieved his goal in his appearance as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is experiencing exactly what Radharani has been experiencing and feeling, and how she has been seeing him. I mean, many a time, even if we are not in a conjugal, intimate relationship, we tend to think, I wonder what that person thinks of me. I wonder how that person sees me. What's that person's opinion of me? We wonder like that. So this is what Lord Chaitanya was wondering. And he was wondering this of Krishna was wondering this of his lover, Radharani. And so this is why he came to actually directly experience. And quite often, even when the other person tries to explain that this is what I'm feeling towards you, when I see you, this is what I feel, this is what I think, but sometimes it's not the same. Can't really experience it with the words. So Lord Chaitanya actually wanted to have the experience of being in Radharani's shoes, so to speak, in her position, so to speak, and actually be in the role to fully feel these emotions. So this is what is happening. So he was very, very deep in this ecstatic mellow, and then he came to external consciousness, and he realized, oh, okay, here I am, and these are the two people in front of me. And they were his very close eternal associates, eternal, always with Krishna and Radharani. There were Ramananda Rai and Sarup Damodar. Sarup Damodar is Lalita Sakhi in Krishna's pastimes. And Lalita Sakhi is very intelligent, very sharp with her words. And she knows Radharani's moods sometimes even better than Radharani knows her moods. So Sarup Damodar's service when he was with Lord Chaitanya was to protect Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic mellow time. That when Lord Chaitanya is not in external consciousness and he's experiencing all these very, very deep ecstatic emotions along with all the ecstatic symptoms, like rolling around, all these ecstatic symptoms. When Lord Chaitanya is experiencing all of this, Sarup Damodar's service was to protect Lord Chaitanya, prevent him from being disturbed. And also, he had many other services. One of his other services was that if somebody had written anything spiritual, like a verse in glorification or anything like that, he would read it first. And if it was okay, if he thought it was all right enough, then he presented it to Lord Chaitanya. So in this way, he preserved the pureness of Vaishnava philosophy, so that there couldn't really be any misconceptions that would come about. So Sarup Damodar is Lalita Sakhi, and he was there in front of Lord Chaitanya, and Ramananda Rai is Vishakha Sakhi, and he was also there in front of Lord Chaitanya. So Ramananda Rai, he had a really important discussion with Lord Chaitanya at one point in time on the bank of the Godavari river. And this is when Lord Chaitanya was going through South India, traveling through South India. He met Ramananda Rai on the bank of the Godavari river, and they had a really important discussion. So basically, very quickly, the discussion was Ramananda Rai, so Lord Chaitanya actually asked him, even though Lord Chaitanya was a sannyasi, he asked Ramananda Rai, who was a big government official in that state. He asked him, so what's your opinion? What do you think? What's the goal of human life? What's the highest things in human life? And Ramananda Rai said, well, it's Vanashrama Dharma. We need to be in our roles, and we need to be, doing our duties according to our natures. And then Lord Chaitanya said, go higher. And then he said, well, maybe we need to be doing karma yoga. Whatever we are doing, we need to offer that to the Lord. And then Lord Chaitanya said, go higher. And then he said, jnana yoga. We need to be, using all our time to cultivate this knowledge so that we can understand spiritual truths. And Lord Chaitanya said, go higher. Then he said, Bhakti Yoga. And Lord Chaitanya said, you're getting warm. So then he said, it's actually, so he kept going higher. He went through the 5 relationships, that being a servant of the Lord, and Lord Chaitanya said, go higher. Then being a parent of the Lord, go higher. So kept going until Madhurya Ras. Until he came, Ramananda Rai came to the point of saying, we need to have the mood of the gopis. That's the highest point of human life. And we need to come to the point that we actually don't even have any material desires for our own selves, but we are renounced to satisfying Krishna's senses. We need to be at the point of Madhurya Rasa. That's the highest success of this human point of life. And so Lord Chaitanya was finally satisfied with that answer. And so that's a very big discussion. And if we have the time, which we should use our precious time in cultivating our knowledge, spiritual knowledge like this. So this is the discussion they had. So the very, very close associates of Lord Chaitanya, they are present before him in Jagannath Puri. And when he came to external consciousness, he was as we are when we kind of, we probably have experienced this at some point in time, that we've been so absorbed in something that when we come to external consciousness, we are a little bit self-conscious. So Lord Chaitanya was like that. He was like, oh dear, what have I been saying? What crazy things have I been speaking? And have you heard me being humble when I was talking when I was not present here? So he began to question, am I still Lord Chaitanya? So this is how, when he came to external consciousness, that's what he was experiencing. So we can see how close he was to his associates. And I'll just finish off really quickly by some points I gathered. Okay. So, we spoke about that. There's some really nice points. So, I just want to see that I haven't missed anything. And yes. Okay, so Sarup Damodar, he is Lalita Sakhi, and he was the Lord's personal secretary and constant associate. It's described in chapter 10 of the Madhya Leela that he is the second body of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which means that he perfectly understood the Lord's heart and emotions, especially Mahaprabhu's inner mood of Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna. He was a highly learned scholar. That's why he was triaging and assessing all the verses that were coming to him before he submitted it to Lord Chaitanya. A brilliant poet and a gifted musician. And as I described, Lalita Sakhi is someone who is very, very close to Radharani. She is loyal to Radharani. She always chastises Krishna. And she is very intelligent. She has this ability to intensify Radha and Krishna's loving exchanges, and this ability to magnify and intensify the loving exchanges between Radha and Krishna is exactly what Sarup Damodar was doing, because he's Lalita Sakhi. So he was Lord Chaitanya's constant companion. He was there to emotionally support Lord Chaitanya as Lord Chaitanya was suffering in separation. And he was also doing musical service. He is the chief amongst all the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these emotions and these intimate feelings of Lord Chaitanya that we are knowing today is actually because of Sarup Damodar, because he wrote these things down. And then there was Raghunath Das Goswami who was there, one of the 6 Goswamis, he also was absorbing these things through Sarup Damodar. And then finally, it was Raghunath Das Goswami who went to Radhakund, and that's where he met Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, who then authored the Caitanya Charitamrita. So this is how this very intimate knowledge that we have access to has come to us. And yeah, without him we wouldn't know the inner moods and confidential pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So he kept diaries. Sarup Damodar Goswami, he kept diaries. And so Vishakha Sakhi is Ramananda Rai, a very eloquent poet, as we have read verse 36. That was written by Ramananda Rai, the verse that we recited today on the board. It was written in his play, the Jagannath Vallabha Nataka. So, strong philosopher, understands and expresses the deepest truths of divine love, actually explains it, and often acts as the mediator in Radha and Krishna's pastimes. And this is what Vishakha Sakhi's service is, and this is exactly what Ramananda Rai was doing. When he was with Lord Chaitanya, he was the only one who could discuss such intimate topics with Lord Chaitanya. So his service was to explain this. So we can see this when he had that discussion with Lord Chaitanya on the bank of the Godavari river. He was explaining everything, starting right from the basics. Then he kept going higher and higher and higher. So this is his service, to actually hone in, magnify, and explain these exchanges of love between Radha and Krishna. Okay, so I'll stop there. Are there any questions or comments or anything?
Thank you very much for the class, Madhya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned spending time well, relishing it. But from my experience so far in Krishna consciousness, it seems as though that there is a pace in which we can't move beyond. And immaturely, I'll push harder. And I try to, do the mood of the gopis on day 2. So how do we develop maturity so that we spend time well, but also move at the pace which is according to where we're at?
That's a good question, and that's a practical question, and it differs for everybody. So it's described that one can become Krishna conscious in a second, like understand the philosophy fully in a second, but it's a balance that we all have. This balancing act is a constant thing because we have these material bodies and we are in the material world. So that part's material. The spirituality is who we really are, and that's eternal. But the balancing act is using the material time, using the material body in spiritual things, and at the same time being true to the material body. Because if we are not, we miss out on sleep, we miss out on nutrition, we miss out on loving exchanges, and this artificial renunciation has really ruined many people. The thing is that the spiritual philosophy is very, very, very high, but we are not that high. So we need to be real, we need to be grounded, we need to understand that I need to meet my material needs in a timely way. If I'm hungry now, I don't eat 2 hours later. I should really try to eat now, because in the Bhagavad Gita it's described that one who makes the body suffer is actually a demon. This body has been given to us as an instrument. to use in the Lord's service. Yeah, we've got the senses, and the senses need some satisfaction to be peaceful. For every person, that level is different. Somebody might feel really peaceful having 2 pieces of cheesecake. We do not judge. Somebody might just want a bite, you know? So it depends on the person's senses and how true they are to themselves. So we really need to actually meet our material needs, basic needs: food, shelter, clothing, housing, security. Then need for belonging. We have that need to actually feel part of something, to have a purpose. To feel part of something is actually still the self, is still that level of connection. So to be part of a community, to be part of a family, to be part of a friendship, we actually need that. It's not a luxury. It's a basic human need. We all have this need for emotional closeness and connection. And guess what? If we don't meet that need, it comes out in perverted ways. So that's why, even with the 6 Goswamis, who are so renounced, they had each other. So they had the other 5 Goswamis, the other 5 friends. So we are not meant to be alone. We are social creatures. In the spiritual world, we are not alone. So in the material world, we can't be alone. We have to have close connections. Otherwise, we are lonely, we are sad, we are depressed. So we need to actually cultivate relationships. That's very important. Right? And above that comes self-actualization, which is, what is my purpose in this life? And we are lucky enough to know our purpose. Many people go through their whole life just floating around like a jellyfish with the waves, not knowing their purpose. So we know our purpose is to make this life successful. Success means not material success of a Mercedes, a big car, joking. But success actually means spiritual success in this life, which is going back to Godhead, or just having the desire to serve life after life and achieving Krishna Prema. That's spiritual success. So we know that is where we're supposed to be. But at the same time, it's like a lotus. So a lotus is growing in dirty water, but the lotus is very beautiful and untouched by any of the dirty water underneath. So it's kind of like that. The spirituality is always there, but we need to be grounded in the material world and fulfill our material needs in the right way at the right time, so that we're not just standing on the lotus petals, and that's a very flimsy platform. If we haven't really eaten or drunk or things like that. Another example is car, and the car's running on empty, the fuel's nearly out, but you're racing to get to ecstatic Harinam or going to Rath Yatra or going to a temple, and you're like, no, Krishna's going to make it happen. The car will get there, but doesn't. You run out of fuel. Because, the material rules still apply in this material world. So we need to actually have that balance within us all the time, and eventually, gradually, with time and with age, renunciation comes. Renunciation, like I was saying, for different people, they have different speeds. Each individual's journey is personal. Like we have seen so many devotees die young, right? We've seen so many devotees achieve success, achieve perfection, and go back to Godhead very early. Krishna arranges for them to come back early. And so it's different for everybody. But being true to ourselves and also coming to the stage where, we have our external life, but we also need a bit of time to reflect. That's really important, because if we don't have that time, then it becomes quite shallow and superficial, because you're kind of giving, but you're not actually taking the time to just ground yourself and reflect on what did I learn today, what could I have done better. So that's really important. It's kind of described like yogurt, when you're trying to set yogurt. I mean, nowadays we just buy it from the supermarket, but I am old enough to have made my own yogurt. And in that era that we used to make our own yogurt. So when you make yogurt, it has to be just kept quiet and still. If you keep stirring it, yogurt won't set. So we are we need that quiet reflection time to just set and ground. So that's something that devotees, because they're pressed for time or pressed for service, they don't really get that much reflection time, but we need to make it for ourselves to keep ourselves balanced. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, looks like there's no other questions or comments. Thank you very much for your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. No, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai.